My name is Daniel Harris. I've lived in the Maplewood Estates neighborhood for 5 years, and I thought I'd found the perfect place to raise my family until my homeowners association decided that a few string lights were the ultimate crime against humanity. It started one summer evening. My wife and I had just finished setting up the patio lights in our backyard. Soft, warm bulbs, nothing bright, nothing crazy. We wanted to enjoy the evenings outside, maybe have dinner with friends, maybe watch the kids play. 2 days later, I found a letter taped to my door. Violation notice: outdoor lighting exceeds community brightness standards. Please remove within 48 hours to avoid a fine. I thought it was a mistake. The lights were barely brighter than a candle, so I called the HOA office. Linda, the president, answered. Her tone was polite but sharp enough to cut glass. "Mr. Harris," she said, "your lights are disruptive to the neighborhood aesthetic. We must maintain a uniform appearance." "Linda," I replied, "these are fairy lights. They're barely visible from the street." She didn't care. Rules are rules. You can keep one motion sensor light at the back door and that's it. I laughed. That's ridiculous. The next day, I got another letter, this time with a $200 fine. At first, I wanted to fight it. I thought about writing letters, hiring a lawyer, or attending the next board meeting. But then, a better idea came to me. If they wanted to fine me for using electricity, I'd find a way to make my own, and maybe even make them pay for it. That night, I stayed up researching. I learned that according to city regulations, the HOA had no authority over renewable energy installations if they met safety codes. It meant one thing: I could install solar panels, and they couldn't legally stop me. I started planning. 2 weeks later, a delivery truck pulled up with my first order: solar panels, inverters, batteries. I had saved for years for a home renovation project, now that money had a new purpose. When I began the installation, Linda showed up in her white SUV. She got out, crossed her arms, and said, "Mr. Harris, you can't install those without board approval." I smiled. "Actually, I can. State renewable energy law supersedes HOA regulation. Section 714 of the Civil Code." Her expression froze. "We'll see about that." She left, but I knew she'd be back. By the end of the week, the panels were up. Sleek, black, silent, my roof looked like a spaceship, and I loved it. The next letter came quickly. Cease and desist construction of unapproved rooftop modifications. I ignored it. Instead, I doubled down. I added more panels to my detached garage, then a few more along the side fence, still within legal limits. My meter began spinning backward. For the first time in my life, I was producing more power than I used. The electric company started paying me. And that's when I had an idea that turned everything around. I decided to share my power. I noticed that many of my neighbors were frustrated with the HOA too. One of them, Steve, was a retired electrician who hated the endless rules. Together, we built a small battery bank on my property and hooked up 2 of my closest neighbors to share excess energy during peak hours. The savings were huge. Word spread fast. Soon, half the block wanted to join. We called it the Maplewood Solar Co-op. By the end of the second month, 10 homes were connected to a shared network of solar storage, all funded legally, all approved by the city. And every one of those homes was under the same HOA that tried to fine me for a few light bulbs. Then came the meeting. I walked into the HOA boardroom on a Wednesday evening. The atmosphere was tense. Linda sat at the center table, surrounded by board members. "Mr. Harris," she began, "we need to address your ongoing violations. You've made structural changes without approval." I calmly placed a stack of papers on the table. "These," I said, "are city permits, inspection approvals, and a copy of the state law protecting renewable installations. You're welcome to read them." She flipped through them, silent. "Also," I continued, "I'm not just powering my home. I'm providing energy to 10 other properties in the community. That means, technically, I'm reducing the overall energy load of Maplewood Estates by 30%. One of the board members spoke up. That's actually impressive. Linda glared at him. Furthermore, I said, the city has offered a rebate for communities adopting green energy initiatives. That rebate is issued to the HOA. You're welcome. The room went quiet. For the first time, Linda didn't have an answer. Within a month, the fines disappeared. The HOA updated its bylaws to include a new section, Renewable Energy Encouragement Policy. They even asked me to write it. Soon, the HOA that once fined me was bragging about being an environmentally progressive community. They started hosting green fairs and community workshops. Linda showed up at one of them and shook my hand in front of everyone. "You really turned things around, Daniel," she said quietly. I smiled. Sometimes you can't fight darkness by arguing, you just turn on more lights. A year later, Maplewood Estates became the first HOA in the county to be recognized by the state for renewable integration. And every night, when I sit outside under the soft glow of those same string lights, I look up at the panels on my roof, panels that started as a protest and ended up changing the whole neighborhood. Sometimes revenge doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it just has to shine.